Hola, bienvenidos a mi canal de YouTube. Este video va a ser en inglés, pero primero yo quería comprobar que realmente yo puedo hablar español con fluidez. No estoy creando historias, no estoy inventando, no estoy mintiendo sobre nada. Todo de eso es real. Realmente yo hablo español con fluidez. Quería comprobar eso primero y ahora voy a empezar a hablar en inglés. Hello there, my name is Noah, and I'm going to be talking about today how learning Spanish not only changed my life, but quite possibly saved my life. And I know that sounds like a big stretch, but just hear me out and wait to make a judgment until the end of the video. So, like I said, my name is Noah. This is my YouTube channel, Noah the Nomad. I make videos about interesting topics I like, fun facts, travel videos, stuff like that. So, a little bit about me. I'm 26 years old, and I am a Spanish teacher at a local middle school here in Massachusetts. And today, I want to talk about how learning Spanish absolutely changed my life. Before I go any further, I want to give some context that before learning Spanish, I was going through a very dark time in my life. And learning Spanish gave me some hope that tomorrow could be a better day, that maybe I'll find a better way of life. And I know it sounds really silly saying that now, but for me personally, that's how I felt. Every day, seeing improvement in my Spanish gave me more motivation to continue living and continue going in the right direction. So I had to give that context before anything else that I'm going to get into today. And I guess I'll start with the most important thing for a lot of you guys out there, and probably the reason why a lot of people clicked on my video was because of relationships. How did it change my dating life? How did it change friendships, even? Well, we'll start with the most interesting thing and the most intriguing thing for me personally, and that is the dating life. How did learning Spanish change my dating life? So, just to give some context on my relationship history prior to learning Spanish, I was in a few relationships before, nothing too long or too serious. So, how did learning Spanish change my relationships? I got to give a story here. So, I started using this application one night called Hello Talk, which is a language exchange app. And you might be wondering, what is a language exchange? Well, a language exchange is when you are trying to learn somebody's language. So, you talk to them in that language, and then they are trying to learn your language, so they talk to you in the language they're trying to learn, right? So it works out good for both people. And I met a few friends on this application. Again, what I'm going to say probably goes against all the terms and conditions. It is not Tinder. So I'm not going to say replicate this. You do whatever you feel is best, but I'm just going to talk about my story. So what happened with me was first night I downloaded the app, I started talking to this lady named Luz. And, it started off just as a friendship. She was from Colombia. I thought that was interesting. I asked her some questions that I had about Colombia, about the country, about their history. And little by little, we started to really form like a really solid relationship, a friendship that every single day we wanted to talk to each other. Every single day we would message back and forth. And then we started doing some video calls. And the first time we did a video call, I was super nervous, to be honest. Back then, my Spanish wasn't that good. So when I listened to an audio message a few times, I could understand what they were saying, maybe. But again, it's a big difference between hearing a message multiple times and being able to hear the context and react to it multiple times, and being able to, if I want to respond with a message and it might not be perfect, then I can delete the message. I can redo the message, right? But when it's live, you can't hide your mistakes. So I was super nervous that she was going to think I was an idiot or not that smart or I sucked at Spanish. But she was really encouraged by what she heard. And she was like, wow, your Spanish is like really good. And it wasn't that good at that time, by the way. Sorry, Luz. But it wasn't that good. And she was probably covering, but that's okay. So, we stayed in contact. We kept doing video calls every single day. And finally, after a few months, she asked me if I wanted to be her boyfriend, and I said, "Yeah, we could do that." And I know this sounds crazy to everybody out there, but 2 weeks after I met her, I called one of my friends and I said, "Look, I know this sounds wild, but I met this lady off of a language exchange app, and I think I like her, but I don't really know what to do, and it's stupid. We're never gonna work out. She lives in a different country, visas, all that stuff, right? So like, it's not gonna work out. So I should just forget about it, right?" And then we just kept doing video calls. We kept getting closer, and then finally, she, like I said, asked me to be her boyfriend, and I accepted. And then she invited me to go to Colombia, and at that time, I was working in a restaurant. I was getting tuition reimbursement, so I couldn't just immediately drop everything and go because I had to work a certain amount of hours in that restaurant to get tuition reimbursement. But after a few months, I decided, okay, I'm going to plan on going for July. So this was back in I think March of 2021 where I said, okay, I'm going. This is really happening. And people try to warn me, hey, Colombia is a really dangerous country. You're gonna get kidnapped. You're gonna get robbed. All this negative stuff. And look, like I'm not saying Colombia is the most safe country out there. Do your own research. You can have a very safe trip there, but do your research. All right, that's for another video in its entirety. But for me, I told myself, like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I gotta at least go there and see what the future holds for us. So I went to Colombia and I met her at the airport, and it was like such an amazing meeting. It was so incredible to finally see this person in person that I've never seen before in person. I've seen them on video calls several times. I've written to them. I told them some of my darkest secrets. We talked about a lot of things, but being able to meet somebody in person and have that connection previously built is incredible. So we spent 3 weeks together. We traveled around the coast of Colombia. I was in Cartagena. I went to this place called Monteria. It's a city that has about 500,000, 600,000 people. And I went all over the coast of Colombia during those 3 weeks and really saw how life was. I don't want to get too off topic because I do want to tell you guys how the story ended, what happened with my relationship, all that stuff. But I will say that that's a whole nother topic. How learning Spanish really opened up my worldview a lot more, and it really made me see these countries not just places on a map, but like there are real people that live there. There's a real culture behind this language. There are amazing food dishes that you can try. Going into a restaurant, being able to order in Spanish, being able to go in a store, speak to somebody in Spanish. These are experiences that you will never know how good it feels until you have put in the work learning a language and then seeing the fruits of your labor. That's something that cannot be replaced. And a lot of people will say, well, I'll just go there without learning the language and everything will be fine. Yeah, it could be. It could be, definitely. I'm not going to deny that. But I don't think you're going to have as fruitful and as amazing and as fun as an experience as you would have if you were able to actually speak the native language of those people that live there. That's another reason why learning Spanish really changed my life, is that it gave me other travel opportunities. And I'll talk more about that in a second, but I do want to finish this story first. So, what ended up happening with my relationship? Well, after 3 weeks, I ended up going back home. It was very, very tough. It was horrible. Being separated from the person you love is never fun, let alone for several months. And we had to do this time and time again because of the United States visa policy with Colombians. It's really messed up, but it is what it is, and we wanted to obviously respect the laws. So we went several months without seeing each other, but every time we saw each other again, it was incredible. It was like the first time we ever met. We stayed in contact. We messaged each other every single day. We did video calls. We got through those really hard times, and we ended up getting married in Colombia in 2022. We got married actually super early in our relationship because we really felt like this was something that we wanted to pursue long term. And people can say whatever they want about my relationship, but I know that we are, madly in love. And because of learning this language, I found somebody that is my other half, my soulmate. And that's something that nobody can ever take away from me. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm not saying if you learn a second language or learn Spanish, that's going to be your story. But you would be surprised how people open up to you more and how people will perceive you knowing that you do speak another language and that you learned it yourself. Like people will be impressed, and that's another whole reason why you should learn Spanish, just for the surprise factor. I'm sure you've seen those videos of that guy. I forgot his name, but he's that white dude that always like walks around New York City and he'll speak to people in their language, and people are always like, "Whoa, what? That's crazy!" But his main language is Chinese that he speaks to other people on the train stations, and he walks around the city and goes to like these Chinese markets. You know who I'm talking about. I'll put his a video or like a little piece of his video right here right now just so you can see who I'm referencing. But it's amazing like how people will be open to you and will trust you a lot more just knowing that you speak their language. And again, that's something that learning a foreign language did for me that I never really had before. Yes, I had friends. Yes, I had people who cared about me. I cared about people too, obviously, before. And the language didn't change that. But what it did change is it gave me the opportunity to expand my friend circle, to expand who I was talking to. It gave me the opportunity to reach out to people and understand their struggle that I never would have understood before if I only spoke English. And another thing, I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I don't want this video to be too long. So if you guys like this, let me know. I'll make a second video talking a little bit more about my story in depth. But I want to talk about job opportunities, right? Because I mentioned at the start of the video that yo soy un profesor de español. I'm a Spanish teacher, right? So even my job now is reliant on me learning that second language. And again, you might not become a Spanish teacher in a middle school. Maybe that's not your goal. But learning Spanish can open up a lot of opportunities in the business world. I'm sure there are several companies out there that are looking for translators, that are looking for people that could go to, maybe Ecuador, Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, Guatemala, Spain, España, right? All these different countries that exist that speak Spanish, and there's 21 of them, right? So that opens up your world not only for jobs but also for fun, right? More fun, more opportunities to meet people in these countries, and more overall opportunities to be able to develop your personality, be able to develop who you are and see yourself in a different light. Like when I'm speaking Spanish, I almost feel like a different person. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but it's true. I really do feel like I'm a totally different person when I'm speaking Spanish. Like I'm more confident. I personally believe that learning a second language will make you a lot more confident, because you will see that there are not that many people who will go all the way and learn a second language fluently. There's just not that many people. Maybe in other countries there are, in certain cultures they're very reliant on learning other languages. So maybe I'm wrong about that, but for an American perspective, there are not very many Americans who are willing to take the time to learn a second language. So if you do, you're going to become more interesting. You're going to be able to open up your worldview a lot more. You're going to have the opportunity to try foods you've never tried before. You're going to be able to meet people, maybe even the love of your life. I'm not saying it's not possible, because I mean, for me, it was possible. You're going to be able to watch TV shows in other languages, music in other languages, and like all the entertainment. That's another thing that happened, right? I was really bored of American entertainment, to be honest with you. And people will say, compared to, Mexico or compared to Colombia, American entertainment is really good. I don't agree with that necessarily. Maybe it's just because I was watching something from another culture that I was very interested in, but I loved watching all these telenovelas, all these different dramas in Spanish that were based out of Mexico, that were based out of Colombia, based out of Argentina. And it gave me hours and hours and hours of entertainment that I became so grateful for. And I felt so alive. Being able to combine travel and work and relationship and all these different goals I had for myself, and be able to learn that different language, that really motivated me to become a better person and to keep learning languages. And now I've learned Portuguese. My Portuguese is pretty good. I've learned German, and I'm currently learning Italian. So there is going to be more videos about language learning on this channel coming soon for sure. And I know this video was all over the place, but I hope you got something out of it. And I hope this inspires you. If you are debating whether or not you should learn that second language and take a leap of faith in that, I would encourage you, try it. You never know how it's going to change your world. And I question sometimes, if I never learned Spanish, like, would I be alive still? Because I was going through a really, really dark time, to be honest with you, when I started learning Spanish. It was very dark. And learning Spanish gave me hope. It gave me motivation to keep going every single day, and just to see that progress and see I was able to understand another word orally, or verbally, be able to understand another word, or to be able to read and be able to understand what a full another sentence was saying. It gave me hope to keep going and to keep trying and to keep living. So hopefully this gives you some motivation. If you got anything out of this video, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, subscribe. I would really, really appreciate the support. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope this inspires you. Please reach out, comment with any questions or concerns you might have. If you want me to elaborate about anything else, go for it. And I'm Noah the Nomad, y yo voy a verte en el próximo video. Adiós. Hasta luego.